Insiders are reporting that the Bears have high interest in Danielle Hunter. We break down the rumor and also what that means for the Bears next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube and rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcasts, especially Apple Podcast. I saw we were at 39 5-star reviews, super close to that magic number of 58. So make sure, click the link down below and rate 5 stars, and you will be in the running for a Darnell Wright jersey. What's going on, my friends? Happy Super Bowl Sunday. And unfortunately, we're not going live today. I just wanted to record something quick, but we will be back on our normal live schedules Wednesdays and Sunday nights at 7:30 on YouTube. So just make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss that live show. But today, we're going to be breaking down Danielle Hunter. We've talked a lot about the mock off seasons and what we think the Bears should do. But recently, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN had this to say about Danielle Hunter going to the Chicago Bears. He said just about Danielle Hunter, the sense I get here is in Vegas is that Danielle Hunter will be hard for the Vikings to keep. He will have a very strong market. He turned 29 in October, and several teams had interest at the trade deadline. Chicago could look to add a pass rusher to complement Montez Sweat in free agency and is very high on Hunter. So that's what Jeremy Fowler had to say about Danielle Hunter. This is where all the rumors have kind of stemmed from. So all the other people reporting it, this is it. That little bit, the very high on Hunter, is what's getting everybody kind of attached to this. Now, what do we know about the Bears searching for an edge rusher? We do know that they were very interested in, obviously, edge rushers because they added in a Montez Sweat. And I think about, too, Danielle Hunter has had a lot of miscommunications, we'll call it, with the Minnesota Vikings about his contract. So it does seem like they're going to try and move on because they just haven't really seen eye to eye all that well. And Danielle Hunter is an absolute beast. Absolutely love him. And let me know what you think down below in the comments. Do you want him? Because overall, Danielle Hunter, he will be 30 years old this fall. Like we said, his birthday's in October. And he's 6'5", 263. And the projected salary is 3 years, $21.67 million a year. And honestly, that's not bad for the level of production that he gives you. He's played 119 games and has had 87.5 sacks. And in the last 2 years has had 26.5 total sacks. Just an absolute beast of a pass rusher. We see him all the time. He can get to the quarterback very, very easily. But also, what I like about this, if the Bears end up bringing him in, is I think about what do you want out of a Tampa 2? Now, we do need that dominant 3 technique. But when you look at what the Bears did back in the day, they had that Alex Brown as that, more of that run-stuffing defensive end. And I see that as Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat is a great version of that. And then you have Danielle Hunter who can go around the edge and get the pressure and get the sacks. And you see what they were trying to do with Yannick Ngakoue. Danielle Hunter gives you that. And for 3 years, projected 21.67 and someone turning 30 in this fall, I don't think that it's that high of a risk, so to speak, when you talk about adding anybody else that's out on that open market. And a little bit on him too, 15.8% pass rush win rate this past season. But the thing that's crazy, when he's in true pass sets, that means like a third down, he's all ready to you just have to get the quarterback. He has a whopping 25% pass rush win rate. A fourth of the time, he's going to beat his guy and get to the quarterback. That is incredible. He's a pass rushing expert that they can bring in, but he's not like Yannick Ngakoue, where he doesn't know how to play the run. Now, it's not his specialty, but he does have a solid foundation when stopping the run. So to me, he's an all-around good edge rusher that you can get for $21.67 million. Like I said, let me know down below, is that of interest to you? Because what I want to do for the rest of the show is I want to break down how this affects the cap, right? What does this look like if we end up adding him? And then who else do we need to bring in, right? What are the other positions of need? And probably the biggest piece, how does this affect the draft? Because myself and a lot of other people were mocking the Bears at getting a defensive end, either at 9 or trading back a little bit and getting a defensive end, because that seems to be the sweet spot. Now, obviously, Danielle Hunter is not on the Chicago Bears right now, but I just kind of want to pretend that he is and just kind of do a little mini mock offseason with Danielle Hunter. So let's first look at the cap breakdown. Now, if you're a fan of the show, you've seen this a lot of times and you've heard this with just what we think is going to happen this offseason. Eddie Jackson being, currently the cap space, $48.5 million. That's the projected as of right now. So then, as we broke down last episode, Eddie Jackson's probably going to get cut and save $12.5 million. Cody Whitehair will probably get cut and save 9.15. Travis Homer might get cut and save $2 million. Justin Fields, I put it as TBD. So people that are Justin Fields, we got to keep him. Don't get mad at me about this, but I just put that as an asterisk. As Ian Rappaport saying they're going to move on. Schefter thinks that they're going to move on. But yeah, if they truly do move on from Justin Fields, it would be about $3.2 million in cap savings if they ended up trading him away. But then when we break down the additions, Jalen Johnson, we say he's going to get tagged. So that's, subtract $18.8 million. Connor Williams, you could really just kind of substitute a center, right? I know we really like Connor Williams on the show, but any center that you could really look at, like a Tyler Biadasz, is probably going to be around that $7 million. So then Julian Blackmon, safeties. If you missed the last episode when we break down all the safeties, you want to hit that, because we talk about all the salaries and all the different safeties the Bears could get, not just Julian Blackmon, but really that around $5.75 million a year is what you're looking to pay a good starting safety. And then also wide receiver, substitute most wide receivers, most mid-tier wide receivers. I just have Curtis Samuel at $9 million. Then there's Danielle Hunter's 21.67 cap hit. And then right now, we don't have the exact cap numbers for the NFL draft picks, but you do need to factor that in, and we have that at $15 million for the Bears draft picks. So that's looking at about all that to say the remaining cap space is about $14.289 million. Very good, right? We still that's a good team. We're factoring in the NFL draft picks, signing a star pass rusher as the outside edge. 14 is really good. But when I look at this team and I look at the people that we added, there's still a position of need that I really want. And to me, that is, I still want to bring in a veteran defensive tackle. Now, we expect Gervon Dexter and we expect a Zach Pickens to take that next step. But I just want to have an insurance plan. And you can also not have enough. You always need more pass rushers. And in the middle, I think about I want someone that can replace Justin Jones and be an upgrade of what Justin Jones gave you. So I'm looking at some veteran defensive tackles that you can kind of just plug and play, looking for a 1-year deal, so you can really kind of see how big of a jump did Gervon take, did Zach Pickens take? Because if they all of a sudden look like studs, I don't want to be signing someone to a multi-year deal. And you could probably pull a Andrew Billings, and if you really like one of these vets, just sign them to a small 2-year deal. But 3 people that I just wanted to call out. First off, Daquan Jones of the Buffalo Bills. Obviously has ties to our defensive coordinator. He's projected to get 1 year, $6 million. Now, even though that he was banged up a little bit last season, on 135 pass rush snaps, he recorded 19 quarterback pressures as a defensive tackle. He can also play the big man covering the A gap. He can cover the B gap. He can do anything that you want. But a true professional that you can get. All these guys, too, are over 30 years old. Like I said, just veterans that are seeking out that 1-year mercenary deal, so to speak. But yeah, Daquan Jones, projected $6 million, might be a good fit as a former Buffalo Bill coming over to the Bears defense. But then next, Shelby Harris of the Cleveland Browns. 1 year, $3 million is his projected. Shelby Harris, although that he only has 3.5 sacks over the past 2 seasons, He's still a very good contributor on the interior and can, yet again, play that B gap or A gap position for that defensive tackle. Just a good, sound player that then can help progress your young rookies. But if the Bears want to get a pass rushing specialist at the defensive tackle position, there's none better at the veteran level than Quentin Jefferson, who you could get from the New York Jets for 1 year, $3.5 million. Now, Quentin Jefferson, not a lot of people know his name, but for the past 3 seasons, he's gotten over 3 sacks in the past 6 seasons. And over the last 3 seasons, he had 4.5 sacks, 5.5 sacks, and then last season getting 6 sacks. He is a pass rush specialist on the interior. So if you want someone to just kind of push the pocket and really kind of give you a lot of pressure up the middle, Quentin Jefferson is that guy. So let me know, is there someone that you think that out of those 3 or someone else that I didn't include that you would want to see the Bears get? Because I do feel they still need at least one veteran to kind of pair up in that interior with the very, very young, now second-year defensive tackles, and also with Andrew Billings, because the more people you have, the more bodies, the more trucks that you got, the better the team will be. And also, before we move on to the draft, I want to just mention something as well. DeMarcus Walker, I don't think that this would affect DeMarcus Walker in any sort, because I was recently looking at the Bears cap situation, and something that's really, really smart that Ryan Poles did is that DeMarcus Walker, after this year, his salary drops to less than $5 million next season. And that is brilliant, because now you can keep this guy at a very low wage next year. So I think he's going to be with the team for the next 2 seasons and finish out his contract. Just want to give some kudos and little claps to Ryan Poles, because absolute brilliant contract negotiations on his behalf. But let's flip over to what the heck happens to the number 9 pick, right? Everybody seems to be mocking a defensive end to the Bears at that pick, or a wide receiver. Now, I think I wanted us to just kind of look at the consensus big boards, right? Consensus big boards, who should be around that number 9 pick. And also, too, I have a consensus mock drafts. And some of these consensus mock drafts, there's some weird, quirky things that kind of go around with it. Right now, the number 9 pick, bulk of the mock drafts have Rome Odunze going to the Bears. But as we talked about in a previous episode, it doesn't seem like Rome is going to be a surefire thing. Seems like a lot of the talk around the NFL circles is that Rome Odunze people are higher on than Malik Neighbors out of LSU. And the reason being, Rome Odunze, a larger wide receiver, and because of that, a lot of teams want that size over just the pure speed of Malik Neighbors, who's only 6 feet tall. So, first thing, what can the Bears do with this number 9 pick? I don't think that they should go and double dip at the defensive end, because they already have a lot of draft capital invested there. Might as well just draft someone later on. So the defensive end, in my opinion, is kind of out of the question. I think the best thing would be to trade back, but the first option, though, would be, can they get Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, or Rome Odunze? So 2 wide receivers in Neighbors or Odunze, and Brock Bowers, who seemingly is one of the best tight ends to come out in recent history. He is a good receiver, aggressive blocker, and could fall to that number 9 spot, depending on how people think and view the tight end position. Now, the reason why the Bears might want to get another tight end, you might say, is because he's more of a big slot. He can play the slot receiver position. He's very good after the catch. And that's why I think maybe they might want to bring him in as just here's a blue chip tight end prospect that, let's just be in the business of bringing in good players. That's where Bowers might be the interesting piece. But to me, Neighbors number 1, Odunze number 2, and then Bowers maybe a number 3. But the other positions, lots of offensive tackles. And I know a lot of people really want the Bears to draft an offensive tackle. I'm not a huge fan of that unless like a Joe Alt is there out of Notre Dame. But Olufashanu might also be there, tackle out of Penn State. So you look around there too. Talis Fuaga, the tackle out of Oregon State. There's a lot of offensive tackles that will be around that pick. And that's where, to me, I'm in the boat of you either get a receiver or you trade back. Try and trade back and get someone to move up, because let's just say Bo Nix, right? Bo Nix is projected to go 12 overall to the Denver Broncos. You might try and entice like the Broncos or maybe the Raiders to kind of come up. But really, to me, I think ultimately is, do you get to me, look at wide receiver. If not, I'm in the camp of trade back, get draft picks, get assets, try and get someone in the second round or something like that. But also, when you look farther down in the draft, that's where we see our boy Jackson Powers Johnson at pick 20, projected to go to the Steelers, right? Bring in a center, bring in that guard, bring in that extra bodies to help out as well. So, like I said, very, very interesting, very different, because you're talking about, now we don't go with the defensive end. Who are we going to get? But let me know your favorite down below. But now I just want to look at the new look Bears, so to speak. And if you look at the defense, it looks pretty formidable, because you're talking about getting a new safety over Eddie Jackson, whether it's Blackman, whether it's Geno Stone and Brisker, and as that safety duo. Then you have Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Edwards and Edmonds as your linebackers. And then the D-line, Montez Sweat and Danielle Hunter on the outsides, with a DeMarcus Walker as the backup. Andrew Billings and Daquan Jones, or whoever that veteran presence is, as the starters, with your rookies, the Pickens and Javon Dexter as the backups, and then hopefully taking that next step. So to me, this defense looks pretty freaking good. I'm in love with this defense. Then you flip over to the offensive side of the ball. I have them getting Neighbors, because Neighbors is dropping more and more and more. And if the Bears can land Neighbors, heck yeah. I also have them getting Caleb Williams, because that's where all the experts are saying Bears are most likely going to get Caleb Williams. So I put him as the quarterback here. But you look at this, it's yet again a very, very good team. Neighbors, Moore, and Samuel as your wide receivers, Kmet as your tight end, Khalil Herbert as your running back, Caleb Williams at quarterback, with your offensive line being Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Connor Williams, then Nate Davis, and Darnell Wright. So let me know what you think. Do you want the Bears to pursue Danielle Hunter? I hope this just kind of helped picture what this looks like from a cap perspective, what this looks like from a draft perspective, free agent perspective, everything like that. Let me know down below. Are you excited for this? Because I personally hope that this happens. I think it gives them enough flexibility, but also gives them a presence that they need on this defensive side, and just makes the Bears an even scarier team next season. But if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube, and get the show everywhere that you get your podcasts. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and